It's May 4th, 2005. We're at the United Center for Game 5 of a first-round series between the Chicago Bulls and the Washington Wizards. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. The score is also tied with about 5 seconds left. This moment is due to the perseverance of underdogs. We've got 2 teams who haven't seen the playoffs in years. We've got a series that seemed one-sided, a game that seemed one-sided, and both of these teams are made up of guys who have been doubted, ridiculed, and even benched throughout their short careers. To realize the strength of the underdog spirit contained in this arena, we gotta rewind. At this time last year, if you said the Bulls and Wizards would be here, you'd get made fun of. Everyone would call you dumb and stupid and say you smell bad, but they'd be out of line, because you were right, Stinky. Things have been rough in Chicago since a certain someone retired again. The Bulls haven't been to the playoffs since they won it all in '98. They haven't even had a winning season since '98. And last season was another bust, even though they had 3 different coaches. Strange that didn't work out. Their record was embarrassing. Sorry, Kirk Heinrich, I had to bring it up. But this year, they ended the regular season with 47 wins. How? Well, in the summer of '04, GM John Paxson turned to the incoming rookie class. He wanted young players who are hungry, and hey, if that made other players hungry too, that was just fine with Paxson. So he went all in. They had the 3rd pick and traded to get the 7th as well. With the 3rd, they selected Ben Gordon, who was fresh off winning the NCAA title with UConn as a junior. He's small at 6'2", but he's a hard worker, and he can shoot. With the 7th pick, Chicago grabbed Duke's Luau Deng, and with the 38th, they got his teammate, Chris Duhon. The Bulls were ready to make a splash this fall, but instead, they belly flopped so hard they threw up in the water, essentially. They lost their first 9 games, putting them in the running for worst Bulls team ever. Instead of quitting basketball and moving to the woods, never to be seen again, the Bulls kept on fighting. They won 26 of their next 40 and went into All-Star break somehow over 500. It kind of makes sense that the Bulls had a rough start. Their team was made up of children. Of the top 8 players in rotation, 5 were under 25 years old, and 1 was 25. They're the 2nd youngest team in the league, behind only the Charlotte Bobcats. Scott Skiles exercised patience with his young prospects. He knew with time and coaching, these kids could be something. Skiles started working with a fluid lineup that changed as needed. He played Ben Gordon less, which actually helped because Gordon needed to get used to the pace of an NBA game. Saving up his energy let him go wild in the 4th, which he did quite often. Saving up his energy really paid off when they faced the Knicks earlier this season. A tired kid couldn't beat the buzzer like that. And as their experience grew, the young Bulls crafted themselves into a defensive force. They finished with the best defense in the East. These kids had a better defense than the reigning champion Pistons. Toward the end of the season, Chicago lost a few of their top guys, Eddie Curry and Lul Deng, to the injured list. But since they were used to that fluid lineup, they could recover. After their inauspicious start, they finished 4th in the East. Which brings them to this harrowing moment. A defensive team put to the ultimate defensive test. The Pistons were probably watching like, oh, you think you're so good at defense? Prove it. And then the Wizards were like, hey, don't bait them, what the hell? The Wizards' path to this moment is similar to the Bulls. Less pathetic in some ways, more pathetic in others. Washington hadn't seen the playoffs since '97. Unlike the Bulls, even Jordan couldn't help them get to the playoffs. Sure, he was older, but still. Like the Bulls, the Wizards brought shame to their city last season, yet they somehow fixed things this year and finished with a 45-37 record. Their first winning season since '98, their best record since the '70s. And it's by far the best they've done since they got their new name, implying they're weak old men who rely on potions instead of skill. How'd they go from a 25-win season to a 45-win season? They made some moves over the summer, trading for Antoine Jamison. Jamison had drawn some criticism in Golden State because of his huge contract and the team's lack of playoff appearances. But Wizards general manager Ernie Grunfeld had his eye on Jamison for a while, convinced he could provide what the team had been missing. Jamison thrived in Washington. He made the All-Star team for the first time, and he really meshed with Gilbert Arenas and Larry Hughes. Jamison makes opportunities without the ball, and Arenas and Hughes could capitalize on them. The offense ran through them, and they were known as the Big Three. In fact, together they averaged 67.1 points a game. And what's interesting to most people, yet infuriating to Warrior fans, the Big Three were old pals who played together on Golden State just a few seasons ago. Except the 01-02 Warriors were bad. The three liked each other, but they weren't a trio yet. Arenas was a rookie, Hughes was unhappy and had one foot out the door. The circumstances weren't right until they reunited in Washington and earned their playoff berth and their playoff berth t-shirts. Both these teams had to climb from the bottom of the league to get to this moment. Did that engender some sort of mutual understanding? Bond them in a fraternity of fighting underdogs? Nope. The opposite, actually. Before the season even started, during an exhibition game where the stakes were like, oh my god, so high, they got in a fight that resulted in fines and regular season suspensions. Depending on who you ask, Larry Hughes either collided with or headbutted Kirk Heinrich on a fast break, causing him to smash into Deng. Brendan Haywood swung at Antonio Davis and then gave chase. There was a point where only one poor referee was between them, and he either couldn't keep them apart or chose not to, which I wouldn't blame him for. This let Antonio Davis get some revenge, and Eddie Curry joined the fun with a rather personal attack. Months later, when the teams met in the regular season, Tyson Chandler let Haywood know that Chicago had neither forgotten nor forgiven. And though Arenas talked a little trash to the press just 2 days before the series began, the series itself hasn't been too physical. The Bulls took Game 1 by a comfortable margin, in large part due to Gordon coming off the bench to drop 30 points, and Arenas suffering from the Ghibli arm, a condition that's yet to be recognized by the medical community. Game 2 also went to the Bulls, thanks to their bench heroes. With the series at 2-0, it was do-or-die time for the Wizards, which was apparently what they were waiting for, because they crushed the Bulls in Game 3. The Big Three delivered, and so did some big subs. The Wizards were feeling so good going into Game 4, even getting a note from the league about their shorts being too long couldn't thwart their momentum. Juan Dixon came off the bench to drop 35, while Ben Gordon had a rough night. Wizards took the game, and just like that, the series was tied, making tonight a pivotal game. Both teams are keeping their heads above water right now, but just barely. Tonight will decide who's going to emerge from that water like a majestic dolphin, and who's going to sink below the surface like a fat dolphin. The Wizards started this game on top. They had an 11-point lead in the first quarter, expanded that a bit to a 14-point lead at half, and in the third, stretched that lead to 22. The Bulls chipped away, but Washington was still up by 10 with under a minute to go. Then, just before the 41-second mark, Jannero Pargo checked in. Jannero Pargo has been doubted and counted out his whole career, before he even had a career, in fact. He didn't start for his high school team until he was a senior. He didn't have any colleges knocking on his door, so he went to junior college to keep the dream alive. He eventually got picked up by Arkansas. When he told his friends back home he was playing for Arkansas, they didn't believe him. His own friends thought it was more likely he was a weird liar than a college basketball player. Pargo's secret was just always working really hard. Strange how effective that is. He spent 2 years at Arkansas, and both years he was third-team All-SEC. His senior year, he was the team's leading scorer and won SEC Player of the Week twice, and I hope he showed his friends this newspaper clipping. Unfortunately, those aren't the kind of awards that get you much NBA attention, and he went undrafted. But you can't get Jannero Pargo down, and maybe everybody could stop trying because it's getting a little mean. Pargo had a good training camp and managed to sign with the Lakers. He saw action in 34 games, but the next year he was released. The Raptors picked him up only to waive him after 5 games. But Pargo has a way of keeping himself around. In March of '04, the Bulls gave him a 10-day contract. During all this journeymaning, Pargo never felt sorry for himself, which is incredible and almost inhuman. Pargo had 10 days to prove he was an NBA-caliber player. So what he did was, in his third game with the Bulls, score 34 points and hit 7 threes, tying a franchise record. I bet Toronto saw that and was pissed. The Bulls signed him for the rest of the season. And then he took that try hard, never give up, score a million points attitude into Summer League and earned himself a roster spot this year too. Scott Skiles liked Pargo because he could fill a role on this Chicago team and come off the bench and deliver right away. But this season, Jannero hasn't gotten a ton of opportunity to deliver. He was on and off the injured list this season, in part due to injuries and in part due to things like Skiles making roster room so he could see Frank Williams in action. Pargo was put on the injured list when he wasn't injured so the coach could try out other players. How does this man keep rolling with these punches? And these aren't just regular punches, these are Eddie Curry-style groin punches. When Pargo did get into games, Skiles called it. He got hot fast, as evidenced in Game 4 of this series. In the fourth quarter of Game 4, the Bulls were down by 25, yet Pargo staged a valiant comeback attempt, almost single-handedly. He had 16 points in the fourth, including 10 points in the last 67 seconds. It was an incredible feat, but it wasn't enough for the win. So tonight, with 41 seconds left, the question on everyone's mind is, can he do it again, / slightly better this time? Well, it certainly looked like it. Within 2 seconds of checking in, Pargo hit a three, and bench players everywhere cheered along with Bulls fans. Desperate to stop the clock, the Bulls sent Arenas, an 81% free throw shooter, to the line. He missed 1 of 2, but that's nothing to panic about. It happens. This is his first playoffs, and he's nervous. Washington still has an 8-point lead. Oh my God, Pargo hit another three. 5-point lead with 25.2 seconds to go, and Antawn Jamison's at the line. It's not Jamison's first playoff series, but I guess he was still nervous because he missed both. But no time to dwell on that. Wizards got to keep Pargo from scoring another three, which they do, only to send the ball to Heinrich. 2-point lead, 11.6 seconds left. Back at the line, it was Larry Hughes this time. Not wanting to make his buddies feel bad for missing their free throws, he missed one as well. See? Happens to everyone. 3-point lead. The Wizards sent Heinrich to the line to prevent the Bulls' hot hands from hitting another three. The pressure got to Heinrich too, and he missed both. But Jamison and Michael Ruffin decided the ball was lava and didn't grab the rebound. Heinrich scooped it up, got it to Pargo, and you know his fairy tale story has a happy ending.
A stunning finish at the United Center.
You have got to be kidding me.
From undrafted obscurity to hero of the up-and-coming Bulls, from the end of the bench to the shoulders of teammates. Oh, wait. I can't say Pargo had a happy ending just yet. The game's not over. There's still time on that clock. The Wizards still have time to snatch that hero's cape off of Pargo and affix it to the shoulders of Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert was a high school phenom who was recruited to play in Arizona in 1999. But a lot of people doubted his play could transfer over to a big program like Arizona, who had won a title just 2 years before. In fact, a writer predicted he'd play 0 minutes. Arenas saw that article and then chose to wear number 0, to keep the haters in his head, keep that motivation fresh, and despite that writer just a little bit. Arenas averaged 15.4 points his freshman year and 16.2 his sophomore year. Also in his sophomore year, Arizona made it to the national championship game, only to lose to Duke. Shortly after that, Arenas declared for the draft, which may have been a touch early, because during the first round of the draft, Arenas' name was not called. That's not what he, or really anybody, was expecting. He was selected by Golden State in the second round, 31st overall, which sucked. It was certainly better than nothing, but second-round picks aren't guaranteed a spot on the team, so Gilbert had work to do. He showed Pargo-like humility in the face of adversity, and after a strong summer league showing, Arenas earned himself a 2-year contract with Golden State. In his rookie season, he transitioned from shooting guard to point guard and came off the bench to average 10.9 points a game. And off the court, he had some good, wholesome fun, pulling pranks on his teammates, which actually sounds kind of irritating. Next season was better for Arenas, by a lot. He won Most Improved Player and was the MVP of the rookie-sophomore game at All-Star Weekend. After that season, his 2-year Warriors contract was up and his stock had never been higher. This second-round draft pick was in a position to get a very nice contract. He got solid offers from the Wizards and the Clippers. So how'd he choose where to go? Yeah, Washington was offering a little more, but not a lot of people picked DC over LA. DC was literally built on a swamp, and LA was built on some kind of fountain of youth that makes everyone a hot movie star. To make his choice, Arenas flipped a coin, and it came up Clippers. He flipped it again, and Clippers. He kept flipping and he kept getting Clippers, Clippers, Clippers. So, to spite that know-it-all coin, Gil headed to Washington. And maybe the money had something to do with it. He signed a 6-year, $65 million deal with the Wizards in August of 2003. Could he be the hero who does what even Michael Jordan couldn't do? Is he the guy who will breathe new life into this long-suffering organization? Nah, not yet. An injured abdominal muscle kept him out of action for most of December and a large chunk of January. He was also benched a few games for generally being kind of a jerk to his team. This season started out on a weird note, too. He was suspended for the season opener for having an unregistered gun. Gilbert said the gun had been registered, but he just forgot to renew it. Could have happened to anybody. No big deal, a one-time thing, I'm sure. Arenas put that immaturity behind him, and this year was his breakout season.
He averaged 25.5 points a game and had quite a few huge games, including 5 where he scored 43 or more points.
Arenas finished the season as the 7th best scorer in the league. He made the All-Star team for the first time this year, where he showed everyone his improved game was not at the expense of his playful persona. And he did it all while wearing number 0. Or no shirt at all. The guy likes to take his shirt off. However, in today's game, the scoring machine that is Gilbert Arenas faltered a bit. He has 14 points thus far, which isn't bad, but in the fourth, he's just 1 for 4. And let's not forget, he missed a foul shot moments ago. So Arenas with the ball here is not a guaranteed 2 points. Whoever wins, this game is a testament to believing in yourself when nobody else would. Both teams had to shake off embarrassment and pull themselves from the depths of the league. The Wizards had to overcome a 2-0 series deficit that many thought was insurmountable. Chicago had to overcome a 10-point lead and a ticking clock. And both teams accomplished these feats with bench players, often criticized unlikely heroes, and a guy who's been cut from the league more than once. An underdog is going to win this game. It's just a matter of which one. Welcome to a moment in history.
Arenas, this for the win. Yes! It's over! The Wizards have defeated the Bulls!
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you want more DC sports, we've got a spicy Alex Ovechkin beef for you. Or if you want more Bulls content, give this Tony Kukoc rewinder a watch. Okay, bye, love you.